Could your laundry burn your house down? Yes. It sounds unbelievable, but it does happen. Your freshly cleaned laundry could cause a fire because washed laundry is able to catch fire if they're put away while they're still hot from the dryer. How? Spontaneous combustion can occur when heat rises from a pile of laundry if oil residue, such as organic cooking oils, self-ignite from the heat. Cotton laundry need extra caution. And to avoid this, you want to make sure that you wash at the correct temperature and with adequate detergent to remove all oil from your dirty laundry. Restaurateurs specifically have to be extra cautious about this. And of course, the launderers that they may send their items to clean. You just have to be extra careful regarding the oil. Then you want to make sure that your laundry has cooled off a bit after you pull it out the dryer and you want to begin folding or whatever. Once it's folded, make sure it's cooled off and store it away in a well ventilated location. Now, the second precaution, did you know that fires are caused from accumulated lint in your dryer? Hmm. Dryer fires are not uncommon, which is very surprising for me to find out. But excessively hot laundry left on a bed, there was actually a recent report about this, and that was left on the bed caught fire because of lint that has built up in the dryers. Now, the U.S. Fire Administration advises laundry owners and users to frequently clean the lint trap, the dryer vent, and the exhaust duct. You want to be extra careful and also to never leave the dryer running while sleeping. I break that rule all the time. Or don't leave it on when you leave the house. I break that rule all the time. Get your clothes clean, your household items clean, of course, but you want to use extra precautions. So please follow these steps and be safe and avoid burning down the house. Did you know that 30% of activity trackers and smartwatches are abandoned by their users? It seems like a waste. I honestly assumed that most are given to thrift stores rather than dumpsters. Well, Recycle Health was inspired by Dr. Terry, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, who saw this as an opportunity to reduce e-waste and get functioning trackers to underserved populations. In 2022, Rachel Manning took over as executive director for Recycle Health. And in her time as executive director, she has moved operations out of Tufts University. And earlier this year, Recycle Health became an official 501(c)(3). With an MBA and an MS in health communication, Rachel leads the effort to keep trackers out of landfills and give them a second life with underserved populations. In addition to her work with Recycle Health, she also runs a for-profit business called Obstacle Fitness. Thank you so much for joining us, Rachel.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us, what is the mission of Recycle Health and exactly how does this impact lives?
Sure. So the mission of Recycle Health is really to bring activity trackers to underserved populations that just couldn't afford it or have access to it on their own. The statistic you were citing, in the intro, 30% of smartwatches or fitness trackers are abandoned by their users, and these are not cheap devices. There are a lot of them are easily like $100 plus. And people get new ones, and and I myself have gone through many iterations in my own personal life over the years. So, Dr. Gualtieri, this was a project she started out of Tufts University. Um, you know, Based on that statistic that you cited, that this abandonment rate, and that people, there's another life for these devices, rather than just sitting in a drawer or sitting in a landfill somewhere. And so, this gives these devices that are still quite functioning new life. And just to give you kind of just some statistics in terms of kind of what we've been up to since I took over, in 2022. In 2022, we received almost 1,600, so 1,600 devices from all over the country, even some other countries. Um, and I'm just looking off to the side for my statistics here. And then we sent out uh, 1,300 devices. Um, and the thing about Recycle Health is that, Dr. Gualtieri kind of really did a lot of this groundwork. I mean, I think Recycle Health is one of the things of the magic of search engine optimization, right, or SEO, because as you stated, I run a for-profit company. This for me right now is basically completely volunteer time for me, and so it's another part-time job. So I do very little promotion, and the way that people are able to find us really kind of amazes me. We get on average like 40 devices sent into us every week. Every week I go to the post office and I get one of those big post office bins. They know me very well at the post office. And it really just kind of blows me away what Dr. Gualtieri was able, the groundwork that she established, and that I'm now carrying forward as she's moved on to other things. So,
Yeah, I'm actually late. I'm late to the whole Fitbit thing. I just got one for Christmas, the whole, I guess, the tracker watch or whatever. And I hadn't thought about when it goes bad, what will I do with it? So I guess I'm just trying to also understand. I mean, yeah, I know I use it to keep track of my steps and like so I can walk more. What is the real benefit? Like, if I send in a broken smartwatch, what is my feel good as far as knowing that I've helped someone or helped to improve their life?
Sure. So one of the things is we cannot accept any broken devices. So we don't have the ability to refurbish, unfortunately. The good news is that an, the overwhelming majority of devices we receive are still functioning. So, the devices still need to, the screens cannot be shattered or cracked. They still need to light up. Like the screen needs to kind of like function on its own. The band needs to still attach to the device, and then we also ask that it holds a charge for at least 24 hours. So those are kind of the criteria we work with. Um, but I mean, I think the feel good is one, knowing you're keeping things out of the landfill, but you're also giving devices to we've given devices to groups that support cancer patients. There was a group that did, like care packages for cancer patients. We've done a handful of groups for veterans associations that were either training for something, like with one group that was training for a dragon boat race. That's here in Cambridge, actually, Cambridge, Mass. On the Charles River, and so they were training for that, and they wanted, the trackers to measure, their steps and their heart rate, because that's the thing now is that a lot of these watches are very sophisticated too. So we get groups that are, doing, say, diabetes management, and so that's where aspects like the tracking like heart rate or other things. So because there's these teachable moments for a lot of these participants where you really need to kind of meet them where they are, right? And that's where I think a lot of these groups are successful, is because they are groups that you are accountable to your other friends or participants, because you're like, well, I want to show up to this afternoon's walk because Sunita said she was going to go, so I want to make sure that I'm there too, right? So it's just been really cool to see the response, and just know that the watch itself won't necessarily change the behavior. I think there was a study that came out of, I think I saw in the Washington Post a few, like a month or two ago, that, the watch itself doesn't necessarily change behavior. It's about that community, right? And meeting people where they are. You have someone who is inactive, or pretty sedentary. You can't expect that person to walk 10,000 steps on day one. It's a matter of, these very small incremental steps. Like today, maybe it's walking to the end of the block. Maybe next week it's walking 2 blocks. But they see that incremental progress over time. That's what's also great about, a lot of these devices will have the apps. Like the Fitbit has, a pretty good app in terms of just showing your activity over time, and you can see how you've progressed.
Yeah.
And then if you have that group component too, then you can see how you're doing, with your friends. And then success just leads to more success.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of award announcements or whatever through the app. I'm still learning it.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know
right,
how to use the heart rate thing. I only know how to figure out the steps part. I'll get to it.
right,
I'm
right.
slow with technology for real. So, so I do understand it doesn't change, I guess what people may or may not do, but so it is an incentive though, because yeah, because you can kind of measure, like you said, your success and the number of steps you've taken walking or whatever. I don't know if it measures your heart rate, then whatever activity the person has taken in their lives or the changes, then they can notice the difference from before.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And it's
Yeah.
a quicker results rather than waiting till you go see your doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, here's the thing, behavior change is hard. I mean, there's a reason why our society, you know, like
Mhm.
we're, as a society, we're a lot less mobile, right? And then COVID um even further restricted people's activity. And here we are, 3 years out, and people are still trying to kind of get back to whatever activity level they were pre-COVID. Forget whatever kind of health challenges that they've experienced since that time, right? So it's it's not easy. I
Yeah.
mean,
So basically you're a part of the get healthy and the exercise movement that we're really trying to push right now.
yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, right. And to really provide, to remove those barriers that some, because behavior change is, it's hard. It's also very individual, right? So but what Recycle Health does is it removes one of those barriers, to getting people more active or more healthy by, if someone's like, well, I would love to have a smartwatch but I just can't afford it. This removes that barrier of, well, here you go, here's one that's in fantastic condition, um that we send to groups, because we also do, we do send to only groups rather than individuals, because we do think that the groups, we do like people to be part of an active program. And so
Okay.
we work with the program managers. Those are the ones that reach out to us, with their request.
Mhm.
And just to give you a sense of, even this year, um we've gotten 12 requests thus far. So we get back to, like, on average a request a week,
Okay.
from organizations looking for, requesting devices. On average, it's an average of, say, like 31 devices, is kind of the range that we get.
So if I wanted to send you a watch, is there like it's on your website? Do I get the address? I pay for shipping. How does that work?
Yep, exactly. So we do have a mailing label that you can download and print. That saves you So the work of that. But yeah, we do. It's to a PO box, PO Box 509 in Natick, Massachusetts,
Okay.
01760. But this is also on our website, which is recyclehealth.com. Um, and so you just send it in to us, and then we process it on our end, enter it into a database, because I like to see where, I like to have those statistics of, where they're coming from and where they ultimately end up.
Okay. And
Um,
because you're a 501(c)(3), is there a tax write-off for the
there is
donate?
a tax write-off, yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
we tell people, if you need a slip, we can send you one. But generally the practice has been just, declare the value. It's similar, I'd say, to like when you donate, goods to, like clothing and things like that. You declare the value of what you donated, in your tax statements.
Okay, perfect. And you said you primarily give the watches to associations and groups. How will a group or association reach you?
Yep. So that's also through our website. So we have a form that they fill out. And the goal is to be, honestly, just as easy a process as possible. So they submit the request. I'll reach out to set up a meeting. So we'll have a Zoom, just like you and I are having, and then just to put a face to the requester, talk about their program, and then I send out the devices. And the only ask that we usually make from the organization is that if they're able to reimburse us for shipping, then that's really all we ask. And I think because so many of the organizations are so used to, say, like writing grants, and things like that I've been overwhelmed with, just how prepared, these program managers are when they make the request.
Okay. So
Um,
what type of groups? Is it like homeless type groups, elderly groups, young groups who are young kids who are overweight, like those type? I don't know.
all of the above.
Okay.
So we've we've done a fair amount of kids groups. People looking to just get kids more active. We do a lot of lower income groups, who again just, they have, you've had these groups, these organizations that do want to, help, these groups that maybe have, don't have access to, fresh food, live in food deserts, right? Because that's the other thing, is that healthy food costs more money. And food was expensive before, and just with inflation, it's even more expensive. So we do a lot of lower socioeconomic. We've done some groups even for some of these nonprofits, their own employees. Because a lot of nonprofits, their work intensified during COVID. And so they're trying to even manage their own employees to give their employees a little bit of a boost, but walking wellness programs can be expensive to run too. So,
Yes, yes.
so whatever, groups can do to kind of, again, it's about, kind of removing those barriers, and meeting people, where they are. So,
And
I mean,
and
go ahead.
okay. And you said that I think we shared off camera that you do have volunteers and moms who are out there, they have a volunteer that maybe your child can participate in or your grandchild. So please share about that program.
Yeah. So, I'm based in Natick, Massachusetts. So, like, however, we're like 13 miles east of Boston, I guess. But yeah, I do run, in the Metro West Boston area, here in Natick, and as well as neighboring towns, the high school, in order to graduate from high school, you need a community service component. So one thing that I've started this year, which has been an amazing amount of help, is that these high school students have been able to test the devices for me, to make sure that they're working, because up until now I just haven't had the bandwidth to test the devices. But I have these high school students that reach out, and they meet me at my house, and I give them a bucket of devices, and they test them, and they're getting their community service hours, and it helps me because, up until now I've had to send extra devices just in case some don't work. But now I don't have to send as many extra, which allows me to, distribute to even more groups.
Right.
Um, I don't know if I'll ever get away from sending extras, just because I want the response to the programs to be so positive that, I have had groups ask me for more devices because the response has been great. And, happy to do that, as long as the devices are going to a good home and being used. That's all I ask for.
And the group can be nationwide. The donations can come in nationwide, but the
It,
volunteers should be local to the Massachusetts area
yes,
because
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that,
perfect.
that works easiest. Yes.
Perfect. So please, I have your website up, but please share the website information anyway.
Yeah, sure. It is. So it's recyclehealth.com. So RECYCLE HEALTH.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much for doing the work that you are
You're
doing.
so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.